This is gonna sound a little strange. I don't know if I want to bring this person through, but there's someone else that's popping in. We have a younger woman who's stepping forward who feels like she passed away too soon. And when she's coming through, she's making my lungs hurt quite a bit. And mentally, this feels strange. Physically, this feels strange. She's blaming an outside influence and saying that she was in a very manipulative situation where I actually feel like an outside person was detrimental in influencing a lot of her actions or inactions in certain areas. There is a reference to a B initial. B. Put this. She would have been very, well, okay, she's giving me more, so I have to kind of, do you mind if I go with it?
Go for it.
I just saw Britney Spears, so that's usually reference to Brittany, the name Brittany.
Brittany Murphy. Oh my God.
Who would that be?
She's an actress that passed away.
Okay.
Not that long ago. She was very sick. Oh my God, yeah, she was very sick.
Okay.
Had some kind of flu or pneumonia.
Right.
And I had seen her very briefly.
Because she's very direct in coming through. She's basically apologizing because she feels like the relationship ended. She's not coming through necessarily for you as much as she's referencing to you. She has messages for other people. She's using you kind of as the way to do that.
Oh my God.
Sometimes that does happen where people will pop in.
The man that she married, he OD'd. When she started seeing him,
Sure.
He manipulated her and was more of a Svengali than anything. And I think maybe because I was one of the few in the spotlight that actually commented.
I'm so sorry to hear that. The man that is popping in that I have to acknowledge, the feeling is life gets cut too short or like someone passes away before their time. And when he comes through, he acknowledges a reference to music. He is showing a legacy being continued on. And then he is having me reference to like a dedication, but in a musical sense. And it comes through. Now, the interesting thing is he acknowledges this hasn't been done yet. And he feels like he's involved in it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's amazing because right now I'm working on music for him, but he's on the record.
That's amazing.
And it's just a beautiful connection, and it's all for the love of him.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear it. That'll be amazing. And he clearly is really happy about that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got that there. Thank you, Pearl. There is an acknowledgement in the way this comes through of him basically bringing up this fact of showing me soulmate, soulmate, soulmate. And he's very instinct, like automatic, insistent, very, it's like coming through so strongly. It's like soulmate, soulmate, soulmate.
Soulmate.
Like,
what do you mean, me with him?
That's what I'm getting at. I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, but I mean, my hands are sweaty. That's crazy. That makes me want to cry. I'm not gonna cry.
It's okay.
Okay, so that jacket, it's Persian lamb, and it belonged to the late, great, Notorious B.I.G.
Wow.
Which I call Biggie. He's my Biggie.
Wow.
But that was the one thing I always said. It was soulmate.
Because he's having me bring up soulmate, 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 and then he's coming through and he's acknowledging a very distinct apology, and it's not coming across in a negative way. And he's referring to the fact that he wants you to know he's bringing up loyalty and he's bringing up commitment. And he's acknowledging an apology in some cases because he feels like you deserved more than you got.
Oh, the fact that he's sorry.
It's the #1 thing that he could convey is I'm sorry. And the feeling that comes through for him is the issues that caused arguments, confrontation, any fighting is like at the end of the day, they weren't that big of a deal. So why did I waste this time arguing about silly stuff? And he talks about being stubborn and petty, and it's like, the feeling's like, no, why didn't I put love first?
Oh my goodness. Because we were fighting before he passed. Bad. And there were times when I did feel like he treated me unfairly, but I was so massively in love with this man. Yeah. And,
I just want you to know when he comes through, he acknowledges having that love. That love is stronger that I even was in life, but he understands that love to a deeper extent, and I want you to know that.
That is so amazing. Yeah, because let me tell you, I always wanted to know deep in my heart if he really, you know, meant a lot of the things he said, a lot of the things he did to me.
He wants you to know at the end of the day, he's like, you're special. He's calling you his girl. I don't know what this is, like, it's my girl. And he comes across in that way of truly viewing you as a soulmate. And I really, honestly believe that. It's important.
Thank you. When he said that I was his soulmate, that, ooh, I wanted to cry, but I didn't want to mess up my makeup.
There's a child that's coming through as well, and this is what's confusing me. This is a female child. She's referencing to the fact that her passing was abrupt and immediate. She's acknowledging that she was not conscious at the time that she passed away, and that's the significance that she's bringing forward. She's sweet, she's beautiful, she's lovely, but she was not conscious when she died. And that is something for her that was a relief because she wasn't aware of her passing. She's referencing, this isn't family. This isn't family. This does not feel like family. So I'm not, whereas I am going to connect to family, this isn't family. This is separate. This is a child that unfortunately passed. This is the weirdest thing. There's just a reference to Joseph. Oh, like I'm getting actually kind of uncomfortable. Okay. This is the weirdest thing. She was shot.
Oh, I do know. I do know.
Okay, who would this be? Because Joseph did this. Joseph did this.
I don't know his name, but it could be very well his name. It's a little girl who was around 10 years old who was shot, and then her.
Wow.
We put her funeral together.
Was there a eulogy? Did more than one person do a eulogy?
I did the eulogy.
Do you have a sister?
My sister did the eulogy.
Okay, that's the connection.
Wow. Oh my God, I got goosebumps. Whoa.
I'm like really.
Oh my God. Wow.
Being a medium, I've connected to children before. It's always one of the hardest things for me to connect to for obvious reasons, but this was just the absolute hardest and incredibly difficult to have to see. I kept hearing a gunshot in the background. It was very overwhelming for me. She's coming through and she's acknowledging that she's with her mother, okay?
Yeah.
She's not upset at her mother because she's acknowledging the fact that her mother knew about the father, but that they had different plans. It's like, I want to get out of the situation. I want to get out of the situation. Do you know what happened to her mother?
She was shot.
Also?
Yes.
Was someone lit on fire?
The house was burned, yeah.
God, I'm sorry. It's like this has never happened before with this extent of a reading. So with the little girl that's coming through, she's coming through pretty clearly, and I'm actually curious to see what your connection is. What's the connection with her?
So I did a show
Right.
in the 80s, early 90s called Growing Pains. And there was a little girl who played my character as a little girl.
Okay.
And she was a little child actress that we knew. And my dad is an agent, and he was her agent. And so she was in our life quite a bit around that time. And the father murdered her, and her mother shot them, and then set the house on fire. And then my family, because she had no family, buried her and her mother and paid for the funeral. And my sister did the eulogy, so you mentioned that.
Right. I would be curious to see if there's a Joseph connection on that side.
I would not be surprised if her father's name was Joseph. It sounds familiar. Why would she come through and some people that are super close to me not come through?
The reason why she came through really strongly was, in a big part, I feel a big sense of appreciation about the funeral, about the eulogy, because with that situation, you know, it was pretty much just them, and that was an appreciation.
Okay.
So that would be why.
It definitely did seem like she was trying to say thank you and was appreciative, and to have people that weren't even related to me to come in was a very nice thing. That was something that really stuck with me.
We've had varying degrees of strength with people. It's interesting. It's cool.
It's amazing. You said some things today that, like you couldn't have known.
Right. And you did introduce yourself when you walked in, so I don't even know your first name. This would be a good time to ask. What is it?
My name is Tracey.
Tracey. Awesome. It's great to meet you, Tracey.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Tyler. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think what this reading really showed was that if a person wants to come through, they'll find a way to do it one way or another. Oh, thank you so much. Oh. And in this case, because she had known so many people that had passed so traumatically and didn't really have resolve to their passing, that's why they came through so strongly, because that was something that they needed in order to transition and move on fully. I have a woman coming through, having me talk about her heart. And this is very clear in the way that this comes through. She's very insistent to acknowledge, no matter how I died, I need them to know the heart. I need them to know the heart. And there's a feeling of having a susceptibility to a heart arrhythmia and also having a susceptibility just to a heart issue. But I can distinctly tell there are other aspects to this passing. People talking about this are discussing this heart thing, but it's something else. It's like, or I die of something else, or people think I die of something else. Mm-hmm. And there's just an emphasis on basically saying, like, people don't know the full picture of how, to what extent this really affected me. But it's a weird way for it to get presented from someone to just randomly pop in. Have there been recent discussions about an individual having, like, a heart thing? Have people said someone had a heart condition?
My ex-wife.
Okay, this feels heavy.
Oh, boy. She used drugs, but the way she passed was not a way that I would have I can accept that she passed.
Wow. The way this comes through, and I'm going to handle this sensitively, the feeling that comes across is that if someone may have used substances to some extent throughout their life, the feeling is that I know that when I utilize these substances, I'm not going over the amount that I would know to normally take. This doesn't feel like someone who's necessarily directly blaming drugs, even though there's obviously contributing factors, but
there's something else.
It's heart. It's heart. Heart is fundamentally what she perceives as being the catalyst
to her
death. Just because the amount that she would have used, she'd done before. And so the feeling is like, it didn't kill me then, why would it kill me now? Unless there's something wrong with my ability to kind of process or metabolize this.
Okay.
She's very selective in the way she comes through. She's not giving me like a ton. She's very private. When she's connecting, very, very, very private.
When he brought up the heart situation, it made some sense. He was bringing forth my ex-wife, and I mean, I don't think he knew that it was my ex-wife that was communicating to him.
Yeah. Oh, God, okay. She's having me refer to a reference of remarriage. She's having me acknowledge a thumbs up, which references to getting married and being approving of the person we're with. And I feel like this would be her way of acknowledging this sense of happiness that you've been able to move on.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's a lot.
You're amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I mean, they are connected to you by the love that you have for them and that they have for you.
Oh.
This woman was here and she transitioned another woman who passed away. She is connecting hands with what looks like a child. And she's coming through and she wants everybody to know that she helped her little girl when her little girl transitioned. And it doesn't.
My ex-wife and my daughter. My daughter passed and my ex-wife passed also.
She's coming through and giving me this feeling of I was there to hold her hand when she made her transition, when she left. People would have felt her mother around when she passed away. She comes across and she, so this is so random, but there's a joke about a Tina Turner impersonation or someone impersonating Tina Turner, and it comes across in a funny way. Remember that I'm saying this.
The Tina Turner thing is amazing because my daughter used to dress up as Tina Turner and run around the house doing all of Tina Turner's dances, and it's just like, wow. Nobody could have known that. Nobody.
The feeling that comes through is basically an acknowledgement from this younger female that she knew how much she was loved, that she was told how much she was loved.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. When her mom died, me and my daughter was estranged. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that.
Of course, sometimes answers can help.
Yeah.
I love it. Your daughter comes across. She does not in any way blame you or have any frustration with you or have any negative emotions associated with you in any way. And so there's this connection on her end of just acknowledging, like, I want you to know that I love you and that I'm not upset. She does not blame the old you, and she's saying the old you. I don't know why this is coming across, but she loves her mom and she loves her dad so much. And she understands that you both were in extraordinarily unique situations, but she comes across basically saying, I understand they did what they had to do to get by from their perspective. And she acknowledges being a little girl, and she was very smart as a child, but she wanted you to know that she wasn't as detrimentally affected by these things as people might have said that she was. Because when she comes across, she's like, I had an amazing life. I had so many opportunities.
I have some things here.
Sure,
That was a
absolutely.
picture of me and my daughter. My baby girl.
That's...
My twin.
Oh my gosh, that is surreal. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad she let me know exactly what I needed to know.
Oh my gosh, that is so surreal. Wow.
Yeah. My ex-wife was Whitney Houston.
I gathered after
You
seeing
did
that
not.
picture.
Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't realize that the person I was bringing through was Bobby Christina Brown and Whitney Houston. I'm in complete shock. Wow.
Yeah. Whitney Houston Brown.
Right? For me, it's not like the Sixth Sense, so I don't see these people's faces oftentimes. I just kind of communicate the message. To me, they're just a soul. It's very humanizing, and I think actually a really beautiful thing that when they come through, she doesn't come through as Whitney Houston. She comes through as your former wife, and so much more than just what people thought of her as. Okay. But then I also have to talk about, I have 2 drug overdoses coming through. The way I would put this, this is really confusing, because for being an adult, there's a childlike quality in their life and how they were. I'm gonna get additional details.
A few of my friends have a tendency to not grow up.
Right.
We all started working very young, right? So
right.
It's very hard to let go of your youth when you grow up as an adult.
Right.
You know, you're expected to have adult responsibilities at a very young age.
Right.
Things like that. So
it's weird that on the other side he comes through embracing this childlike quality and embracing how he really was. But in life, he's acknowledging that this would have been a disservice, that in being like a child, he would have been taken advantage of, and this is in the way that this pops in. But what's strange is that he's acknowledging that he had opportunities where it was clear that he knew that there was manipulation happening, and I don't know in what context. But he was still kind of naive, still, I don't know in the way to describe this. If someone in a career sense hurts us or manipulates us, generally we're able to, acknowledge it, see it, and then get out of it. The feeling is that I can't get out of it, even though I know this isn't right. It's not there's one person I'm blaming as much as there's multiple instances of kind of what I would view as trauma to some extent, but I don't know why he was stuck in this.
Well, then I know who you're talking about.
What is this? There's a reference to getting up to get a glass. I have a glass in my hand, and I'm thirsty, and then I died of a drug overdose and passed very quickly.
You're talking about Corey Haim.
Corey Haim?
There's no question that Corey Haim was coming through to him. But I don't think Tyler knew who Corey Haim was.
I don't know who that would be referencing to.
Okay. You don't know, really?
No,
Yeah. But my best friend was Corey Haim. Yeah, I was the 2 Coreys, yeah. It all makes perfect sense, really, what you just described.
and then she's referencing to a car accident. And this is interesting because she's placing these two together, but she's having me acknowledge that if this had happened in a different country, this wouldn't have happened. But I wouldn't think that it would happen to me in the States. So the reason why I'm going to describe this is if someone is not familiar with the way that we drive in a different country, and as a result we die, had we been on the road and perfectly capable, we might have been able to manage in the United States, you know, somewhere where we might have been.
I know what you're talking about because it was only 2 lanes.
Right.
When she got in the car wreck.
Right.
And it's the way that the roads are.
Right. Interesting. Okay. She's just, from her perspective, happy that no one else was killed in this incident. She's more focused on others and their well-being. Unique.
And it was 8 people in the car, and she's the only one who died. Everybody could have. A lot of people got hurt.
Right.
Bad.
Right.
But she's the only one who didn't make it.
Wow.
You were dead on. Like, she was in the car in Honduras, and the road was weird.
I'm so sorry.
So you have to turn the picture over. Do you know who it is?
You know, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
I have to tell you.
Yep.
And the weird name you were talking about, the reason you never heard of it, we call her Left Eye. And we're in a group called TLC.
Right.
And her name is Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Wow.
And she died in the middle of our last album that we were doing, too, on top of everything else.
God.
So it was just a real tragic, like, it was hard. And living it out with the world, like, it was just crazy, like, the whole thing. Because, you know, one thing is dealing with death, but then going to the grocery store and seeing her death numbers and her face over every magazine, like People magazine, like everything.
Right.
I didn't know how to deal with that. No. So, you know, you go from breaking records and, you know, on top of the charts to, you know, everything just stopped.